So in this video, we are going to be looking at trigonometry together. Now, trigonometry is just a branch of math that shows the relationship between the sides and angle of a triangle. So trigonometry is the branch of math that shows the relationship between the sides and angles of a triangle. Now, in a previous video, we treated Pythagoras' theorem. Now, I told you that we use Pythagoras' theorem when we have a right angle triangle and then we know two sides and we are told to find the third side. Do you remember? So we use Pythagoras' theorem when we know two sides of a triangle and we are told to find the third side. Now, for trigonometry, however, we use trigonometry. Let me have it here. Now, we use trigonometry, on the other hand, in a right angle triangle. But this time around, when we know one angle, we know one side, and we are told to find the second side. Do you understand? So it's still a right angle triangle, but this time around, we know one side, we know one angle, but we are told to find the second side. Do you understand? So we know one side, we know one angle, we are told to find the second side. Or still in a right angle triangle, so we still have a right angle triangle. But this time around, we know two sides, any of two sides, and we are told to find an angle. So this time around, we know two sides, but we are told to find an angle. So do you understand? We use Pythagoras' theorem in a right angle triangle when we know two sides and we are told to find the third side. Then we use trigonometry in a right angle triangle when we know one side and one angle and we are told to find the second side. Or we know two sides and we are told to find an angle. Do you understand? Now, before I go to the functions that we have in trigonometry, I would like to teach you the sides of a triangle. So let's look at the sides of a triangle. Now, so let me draw a right angle triangle. Now, I hope you can still remember that a right angle triangle is a triangle that one of the angles is 90 degrees. And we can represent it with this box. Does this make sense? Now, this is a right angle triangle. Now, there are three sides of a right angle triangle. We can have the hypotenuse, we can have the adjacent, and then we can have the opposite. Do you understand? Now, the side facing the right angle is known as the hypotenuse. So this side that faces the right angle is known as the hypotenuse. It's fixed and it's the longest side of the triangle. Does this make sense? Now, the other two sides of a triangle, which are adjacent and opposite, changes depending on the position of the angle. Now, look at this. If the angle given is here, let's call this angle theta. The opposite is the side facing the angle. So this becomes the opposite. And this side becomes the adjacent. Do you understand? Now, if we have another right angle triangle, now remember, the side facing the right angle is the hypotenuse. Now, let's say this time around, we have the angle here. Let's still call it theta. Now remember, the side facing the angle is the opposite. So this becomes the opposite. Then this becomes the adjacent. Do you understand? So these are the three sides of a triangle, of a right angle triangle: hypotenuse, adjacent, and opposite. Don't forget, hypotenuse is the longest side of the right angle triangle and is the side facing the right angle. Then opposite is the side facing the angle given. Then the third side would be the adjacent. Does this make sense? Now let's take the functions of trigonometry.